I gotta know when to start you doing the induction. I gotta know when to hit the cow over here.
You want to do it before or after?
Before. As soon as the cow's done.
Okay.
Last thing we need in here is air conditioning. That's
Welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cow Report with your host Chuck Lee and co-hosted by Fred the True Stafford, who spends his weekends here. Now, here's Chuck Lee, and also in today's show, we're going to have a Altoona City Council 5th District debate, including star the Common Man. Now, ladies and gentlemen, put your raccoons on for Chuck Lee.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. McGonigal, and that's our announcer, George McGonigal III. We really appreciate that. And the show is coming to you live October 1998 from the former Banbury Place, former tire factory. And the scuttlebutt is down at City Hall that they're going to name it the Fred the True Stafford Arena. And we really do appreciate them being considerate of Fred and naming it after Fred Stafford.
They won't name anything after me. I know that.
And of course, you know, after it was a tire factory, Fred came down and pulled this thing out of the ground.
I didn't do anything like that.
This place is a basket case when Fred and them got...
And it still is
When
one.
them Fred and them guys got fired out here, 1,200 of them, this place was a basket case, and Fred took the bull by the horns,
That's true.
started the sausage factory,
Not true.
became known
I
as...
don't have anything to do with the sausage. That's Chuck's saying.
And then what happened with all those rubber trees you had growing on top of the
I
building?
didn't have any rubber trees up there.
All right, well then we'll just have to call up Dave Zine and find out what he's got to say. Now, for those of you who know Dave Zine out there, state senator from the state of Wisconsin, who lives in the Eau Claire area. You know, Fred, he's the hardest working man in politics.
Yes.
And they say the hardest working man in show business. Well, Dave Zine is the hardest working man in politics. He's been nose to the grindstone all these years, and unfortunately he had to have a 5-hour operation last week to straighten out some problems with his stomach, and it was quite a serious operation. But it was touch and go there for a while. But he's came through now, and he's very weak, and he's agreed to a quick 5-minute interview to get his condition report and see how everything is going. And as soon as we get this thing going here, we'll figure it out. And we'll get that number on here. Hey, don't you just love live television, Fred? Okay, hopefully the phone will be ringing there. Yes, this is the Cow Report, and the phone is ringing. And hopefully Dave will be answering. I know he's been under a lot of medications for the pain. And hopefully he'll be answering the phone here. Hopefully. For those of you who want to send him flowers. Hello? 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 Got anyone on the other end there? Dave?
Yeah.
Okay, we have Dave with us now. His voice is almost gone. Dave, how are you feeling now?
Feel pretty good. It's hard to talk. They drained 400 milliliters of fluid from my lungs. 5:45 tonight.
That doesn't sound good, Dave. I hope you're a fighter, though, Dave. You can hang in there, and you'll get over this. You've been to Vietnam, and you've been through all the political wars. You've been in motorcycle wrecks. You got to go on to victory here in a couple of weeks in the election, and then on to Congress in the year 2000. You got to hang in there, Dave.
I have to see about that. But in James 1, it says we're always being tested. These are just various trials.
That's for sure. Fred, you want to say anything, Dave?
Hello there, Dave.
Hi, Fred.
Waiting for you.
Oh, pretty good. You got lots of energy.
Okay.
Fred's rooting for you, and of course he's just as crusty as ever and ornery as ever. You get him on the show here, and he perks up real quick. But Dave, we wish you all the best of luck and hope that you'll be getting out of the hospital real soon, back on the campaign trail with just a couple weeks left here. I know you've been running a very strong campaign, going door to door and barn to barn as always, and always out there with your constituents, and you're one of the hardest working legislators down there in Madison. And of course we have a bill or a referendum on the ballot this year for November 3rd for the right to keep and bear arms for hunting and for defense, legal use of that. And I know you've been fighting for that for a good 10 years that I've known. You've been fighting for it ever since I first met you 10 years ago, and it looks like that's going to be passed, doesn't it?
That's just one of many.
Well, that's good. I hope it is passed, and Charlton Heston, I think, coming to the state to campaign for it. And
11 o'clock on Friday. But that's just one of the many pieces of legislative efforts that I've initiated. I've initiated a many. We expect that to pass. It's going to be a great referendum on November.
well, finally, we'll have the right to keep and bear arms for peaceful purposes and for hunting and for defense. There's nothing worse than being out in the middle of nowhere. Someone kicks in your door, pulls a knife, or starts shooting, and there you are waiting for dial 911 and waiting a half hour for the police to show up. So that right to keep and bear arms is the first line of defense in any country and any democracy. And I'm glad you've stayed in there this last 10 years and fought for that, Dave, because it's been a lonely trail. You finally got it on the ballot. Now November 3rd, it's up to the people of Wisconsin to decide. And we really do appreciate your efforts there. Well, Dave.
And a privilege and a pleasure to assist people.
Well, we really do appreciate your hard work, Dave. You hang in there now and get well, and we'll see you on the campaign trail before November 3rd again. And are you going to be able to get back on the cycle before the 3rd?
Absolutely not.
Okay, well, we'll have to
740 or 743 or 738. If anybody wants to come and visit, 743.
Okay, Dave's in room 738.
738.
And you might want to call ahead first and check downstairs before you show up, but go ahead and call the hospital and check to see if Dave is asleep or if he's having some kind of therapy at the moment. But he is in 738 if you want to send flowers or get well cards, and let him know that you're supporting him and you're in his prayers.
God bless you. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank
Bye
you.
now.
Thank you very much, Dave. Hang in there. Okay, Fred. Well, there's Dave Zine. You've known him probably longer than I have, and helped him over the years in many campaigns. Tough campaigning back there in the early 90s, late 80s. Of course, it was 1986, the first time he ran, and everyone in the party told him if he had lost, he didn't have a chance. Came back in 88 and won, and he's been winning races ever since. And he's been in the legislature ever since 1988. So we wish you the best of luck, Dave. All right. Now, coming up here in a few minutes is going to be the Altoona debate. We have 3 candidates that are going to be in tonight for the debate for the special election coming up on November 3rd, and it's the first round of that election. If the winner doesn't receive at least 50% of the vote, then there will be a runoff again later on to declare a winner. So right now the 3 candidates are Janner Dawes, Randy Beminister, and Fayen Spidley. And those 3 will be in a debate here in a few minutes. But first of all, we're going to take our first call, and then we're going to ask Freddie. Well, first of all, we'll take the call first, and then we'll go to Freddie and see what words of wisdom Freddie Boy has tonight. So hang on, Freddie. Well, I guess we had a little technical difficulty. Phone number for those who want to call in tonight is on the old cow phone. It's 839-6261, and of course we are live, so feel free to call in and ask questions. And boy, oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about tonight. And first of all, to roll things out, here's Freddie, the true Stafford, the sausage king of the Midwest, with what's your article, Fred?
I got something here from The Wanderer, which was printed October 22nd. And it's by Linda Bowles, and she says, I'm signing Thoreau's petition. The president is mentally and emotionally unstable. He summed up his position with these words: any man who is conduct himself in such an emotional, unstable and manner and bring worldwide change first to his family, then to the vulnerable young woman, and finally to the United States of America, is unfit to be president of this great country. He loves his country, he will go.
Okay, let's quit playing with the sound in there. Okay, little bit of business here. Forgot to talk about Felix Unger might have to give me a close-up here of these couple of things here for the upcoming auction. Now, that auction is November, what is that there, Felix?
7th and 8th.
November 7th and 8th, and it's the annual Public Access Channel 11 auction. And, of course, this year is going to be the best year yet for a lot of different gifts and prizes and overnight stays in hotel rooms. And I think they even got a special trip to the moon package there, Fred, for some people.
We got a man going on that. His name is Glenn.
Oh, yeah, Glenn Close. Okay, well, here's one of the gifts that we're going to be offering, and this is donated by the old Cow Report, and the name of this is Chubby Chums, and it's a little, it's a Christmas ornament. Of course, Christmas now is just about 2 months away, I think, something like that, November, December, about 2 months. And this is made by, let's see, this is made by Simon & Schuster from a little Simon book. There's 3 little books that come with it. One's called Opposites, Things I Like to Eat, and the third one is Jingle Bells. 3 little books come with it, plus this Christmas ornament of the Santa Claus, or not a Santa Claus, but a Frosty the Snowman Christmas ornament there. And that has a retail value of $7.95. There's going to be 2 of those that will be auctioned off on the upcoming auction on that first weekend in November, right after the elections. So you don't have any excuse not to be tuning in for the auction, because the election season's over and there's really nothing else to do on a Saturday or Sunday, especially that weekend. So tune in and bid on these items. And the second item, actually the third item that Cow Report is donating, is a complete package Smart Suite 97 by Lotus. This is the upgrade edition, and it has the Lotus 123 spreadsheet in it, the Lotus Word Pro word processor, Lotus Approach database, Lotus Freelance graphics presentation, Lotus Organizer time manager, Lotus Screen Cam multimedia software. Smart Suite 97 gives you easy new ways to find, share, and publish your information on the internet. So this is a complete package, and it also comes with various different internet packages with Netscape Navigator, Microsoft Internet Explorer, with free connect time, email, and more. So this is a sealed factory package. I've seen it retail as high as $149.95. This will be auctioned off, and this is a Smart Suite 97, the upgrade. The best suite for today's connected world, powered by 123, the famous Lotus 123. So that's the complete package, and it's pretty heavy too, a couple pounds. So if nothing else, you can always sell it for scrap. A lot of poundage there, a lot of recyclable cardboard in there. But this is a CD-ROM version, and it's good for Windows 95 and Windows NT. So make sure you tune in a bid for that. And also, last year the Cow Report gave away we got some bad lighting there. One side's dark and Fred's just lit up like a Christmas tree. The old Cow Report last year donated a Cow Report t-shirt that Fred and I both autographed, and I'm sure that is in somebody's safe right now in one of the banks downtown because of its intrinsic value and its monetary value. So this year, I know we'll be giving away 1 and possibly 2. And those will be brand new t-shirts with the Cow Report logo on them, and personally autographed by Fred the True Stafford, Roy Rogers Hoff, and yours truly, Chuck Lee. So make sure you tune in and bid on those items and many, many more. Some very exclusive and expensive items will be on this year's auction. Okay, now, did we have a phone call coming in? All right, we have a call on line 1, and hopefully we got everything patched up. You know, it's getting to the point where it takes 2 hours to set up this studio, and then the sound test and everything, and of course it is live, so things still can go wrong. And there's an old saying, if something can go wrong, it will, especially in live TV. And we're kind of hearkening back to the early days back in the 1950s when all the programs were live on television, and you just pretty much had to accept the good, the bad with the ugly, and just go on to the next sequence. So now we're going to see if we have our phones hooked up properly. And go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, actually, we just tuned in, and we're just a little confused of what your show is about, or like what you're trying to do.
This is the Cow Report, world famous Cow Report. This is Fred the True Stafford.
Uh-huh.
I've got Roy Rogers Hoff, my
Okay.
pyrotechnical engineer, in the other room that handles all the fire stuff, and takes care of all the wiring and keeps the fires down, and so that we don't have the fire department down here putting things out.
Yeah.
That's Roy's job.
Oh, okay.
And of course, we talk about issues of the day, local, state, federal, and international issues.
Oh.
And nothing is too little or too big to talk about. And so we try to air newsworthy items that the mainstream media pretty much ignores. We try to talk about those issues that are pretty much ignored by the liberal media. Of course, surveys and polls have been taken of all your major media in this country, and something like 75 to 90% of them vote Democrat. And so it's a very liberal media we have in this country. So we try and offer the other side of the story. So did you have a question or a comment of anything in particular for the old Cow Report staff here?
Let's see. You don't have to come back with a question. I really do like those little stuffed cows you have in your table, though.
Well, thank you. Those there were personally shot and killed down here at the local slaughterhouse and donated to us because we like animals.
Okay, well,
They're delicious.
I'll think of a question and maybe call back.
All right.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. All right, well, you know, Freddie boy, it's always nice to have those young kids call in and give their views, and we have a lot of people that watch the program. Between 10 and 20,000 people watch the program, and you need to go vote this November 3rd. It's very important that you do vote. And also, got some other housekeeping stuff. Remember now, Halloween's coming up before the election. So that weekend, I would advise you during the evenings, during the night when it starts turning to dusk, take down your yard signs of your various candidates. Put them on the porch or in the house, and then put them back up the next morning for that 2 or 3 day period during Halloween there. Because they always seem to, hundreds of them seem to always get knocked down, and the kids go around and they think that's funny to do that. Well, it costs those candidates, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, it costs them a lot of money. Sometimes they spend thousands of dollars for yard signs and the metal wires that go with them. And so please be, those of you that are going out trick-or-treating, please be kind to the signs that don't get taken down. And those of you that want to preserve your sign and so that you put it back up the next day, take it down just before dark there and then put it up the next morning. Okay there, now we have some things here coming up here. One thing I wanted to bring up real quick, and this is of national importance to the United States, of very important defensive purposes for the United States, and that is the ELF transmitter up at Clam Lake. Now, that ELF transmitter is used to communicate between our defensive systems, our Department of Defense, our government defensive systems, and the nuclear submarines and other submarines and ships at sea. It's very vital to the defense of this country. And there have been groups for many years that have tried to get that taken out of the government budget to get it scrapped and tore down. And it's obvious the reason why, because if you're a communist and you're part of the fifth column in this country, then you'd want to destroy our defensive capabilities for the eventual overthrow of this country, Fred.
Yes.
Now, the ELF system is vital to the defense of this country. And they have these left-wing pinkos like Feingold, and then they want to take it down. And that borders on treason. That is very important to have that out there to communicate with our nuclear submarines, not only for the boys that are on those submarines, but they also need to know what's going on and what's happening in the case of an emergency. What if some rogue nation like Iraq decides they've finally got a hold of a nuclear weapon and they decide to set them off in New York City or something? We need to respond. So if we don't have that ELF system up there at Clam Lake, and I think there's a couple others around the country, then we could be in serious trouble. We need to be able to respond, and that could be the only line of defense we have, because Clinton has put our nuclear forces on a stand-down basis and pointed them away from any military or any other sites in other countries like Russia. And also, Clinton has come out with a new policy where he will allow Russia or any other country, China, to have first strike capabilities. In other words, they would let China push their buttons and their missiles come at us and let their missiles actually hit us before we would respond. Well, in that case, we could knock out the Russians or the Chinese or the Iraqis or whoever our enemies would be at the time, could actually knock out our communications, satellites, communications, and our military, and a lot of our own nuclear weapons could be knocked out. So we might have to rely solely on those submarines at sea for our defense and to respond back. So this is an old article. I don't know what it is. I've been carrying it around in my briefcase here for many months, but it says funding for the Navy's Project ELF transmitter would end under a proposal sponsored by Wisconsin's U.S. senators. The radio center in the National Forest up by Clam Lake has operated since the 1970s, transmitting extremely low frequency messages to nuclear missile submarines at sea. Project ELF is here's what this left-wing radical Pinko Feingold says. Project ELF is an ineffective, unnecessary, outdated Cold War relic that is not wanted by most residents in my state. Supposedly they're going to save all this money. Well, it's only a couple million bucks it takes to keep the thing in order. And Feingold wants to divert. He wants to close down the ELF transmitter, which is vital to the defense of this country. See, Feingold's saying since we supposedly are at peace with Russia, we've got no problems and there's no Cold War. We still have China out there. It's has the biggest red army in the world, the biggest army in the world, has nuclear capability, has supercomputers now hooked up to their military, thanks to the Clinton administration selling computer technology unrestrained to the communist Chinese. The communist military controls totally the economy of China. And they get the first pickings on anything that's imported into China. They get the first pickings, and then they drop it down to the government, and then possibly maybe to the people of China. But the Red Chinese Army is in control of that country. They are still our enemy. They have weapons pointed at us. Not only that, but Russia is on the brink of nuclear, or on the brink of civil war, and whoever ends up taking over that country could be our sworn enemies. The communists are rising again, and they want to take back over. And I think there is a communist foreign minister running things in Russia right now. So Russ Feingold's statements are very stupid and very defensive in nature. We need to have a solid defense, and we need to be able to communicate with our troops, not whether they're a mile under the sea or whether they're in Europe. And the ELF transmitter does exactly that, and that's why it needs to stay in there. So there you go, Freddie boy. I know, Fred, you're a staunch supporter of the ELF system too.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to take another call, Freddie, and then we're going to go to your next article there.
If women don't
Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Hello. I got a question for both you guys.
All right.
You know, with this whole Clinton thing and Monica Lewinsky,
Yes.
if like either you were in his shoes, what would you guys have done? When it comes to like when he was in the Oval Office.
Well, first of all, he's married.
So what?
See, that's our post-Christian theology there. We're in a post-Christian world here, and so it's so what?
Says thou shalt not.
So the answer is so what? It's not his wife. He imposed upon that young girl because she's starstruck. She's in the White House working for the most powerful man in the world. Most powerful man in the world is a sexual predator. He's going around. He's had affairs with over 100 women. It was just another conquest to him, and he shouldn't have been doing it.
Right.
He's a married man, and he also represents all the married couples in this country. And it was basically wrong behavior. He's
Then
admitted.
he lied about it.
He lied about it. He admitted it's wrong. But
And he committed perjury.
see, we don't want to get sidetracked with the Monica Lewinsky affair. Clinton is transferring very sensitive military capable equipment, supercomputers, other hardware, software to the Chinese. He's pretty much in bed with the Chinese and allowing them to get a hold of some very sensitive electronic equipment, computer chips, things that the Chinese military have already diverted from supposedly domestic use into the Chinese military. So we're already in trouble. We're going to go to war with China within 5 years, 10 at the outmost. And here we have a communist in the White House sending over very sensitive equipment to the communists in China. It's not a good situation. Okay, what do you got there, Freddie boy?
If women, and this is also from a Wanderer, which is a Catholic paper from St. Paul, and if women don't want to fight, why are they in the army? And this is by Samuel Francis, a very good article.
Well, that's good, Freddie. Now, have you voted absentee this month?
No.
Well, you know, you can get an application for an absentee ballot. All you got to fill out a card. These have been mailed out all over the state, and I'm probably in other states too. And it's basically where you can get an absentee ballot. You just fill in your address, your voting municipality, and write down where you want the ballot, absentee ballot mailed to. And then make sure that you vote absentee if you're not going to be in town, or if you're in shut-in, or if you're in a nursing home, or you hurt yourself and you can't get out of your house to vote that day, you're going to be out of state or out of the country, make sure you vote absentee. Many elections have been won with an absentee ballot when they've been opened up after all the other ballots are opened up. They open up as absentee ballots. Many elections have been turned. One example will be Linda Smith out in Washington State 2 years ago running for Congress. The headlines in the newspaper said Linda Smith loses. Next day or within the next morning, by the time they counted the absentee ballots, they had to change that headline and said Linda Smith wins and goes to Washington. And she's still in Congress, and now she's running for U.S. Senate. So absentee ballots are very important, so make sure you use them. Okay, we're going to have the start of our debate now. And of course, this is Altoona, the debate. And we have our three guests tonight. And we have Janner Dawes, Randy Bemister, better known as the Common Man, and Thayan Speidel. And of course, this is the debate for that special race that is being held for the recall election over in Altoona. Of course, call phone numbers on it for those of you who would like to call in and ask for or bring up a question to ask the three candidates. And first of all, we're going to start with Janner Dawes, and for her opening statement, take it away, Janner.
Well, Chuck, you know, I've been on the council now for quite some time, and, you know, I stand where I stand on issues, and I believe in what I vote on, and I hope that the citizens come behind me, because they're not voicing their opinion to me. I don't hear anybody saying anything against anything, and I think this whole recall is a big waste of time.
Well, thank you, Ms. Dawes, for your opening statement. And now, we're going to go from left to right in the debate, because this is an important debate. I'm glad the three of you showed up tonight, because it is very important that the citizens of Altoona know who to vote for.
Chuck, may I make this clear that this is for District 5?
Oh, okay, District 5 in Altoona.
Yeah, and there will be a preliminary election during the normal election between us three, me and my girlfriend and Common, and then there will be like a month later, I'm not sure the date, there'll be the actual election for the district.
Okay.
And besides our district is District
December
4.
1st.
Thank you very much. Okay, Randy. Now, Randy, for your opening statements, Randy Bemister, and that's exactly the way.
Bemister.
That'll be the way it'll be spelled on the ballot. Randy Bemister, for your opening statement. Go ahead, Randy.
Well, in the first place, we got a rather big crowd here. As you might, if you can tell by if you can tell on the camera here, I'm the only one here. Jan Dawes is represented by a finger. I guess that's her way of showing up. She decided to whip me the finger.
I'm right here.
And, then,
Tom,
and
I'd ask you to
faceability is
refrain
represented by a dummy.
from-
We'll see that later.
Ask
But
you to refrain from making derogatory remarks to the other people.
well,
Just do your opening
what can I
statement, please.
what can I tell you? I'm the only one who showed up. But
Go ahead with your opening statement, Randy.
well, I decided this was enough. I'd had enough of this big time spending in Altoona. I'd fed up with it. They decided to put the library 8,000 foot. Even before they even planned the idea, they knocked down the old B&B Super building. There's been a lot of big time spending on there and everything else. The library, and then they want to build, and then they want to move the fire station out to Highway 12, and I was at the forum, and the thing of it is, when I asked Ms. Dawes what as far as the library expansion and the public safety building, she only gave me half an answer. She said $537,000 for the library, but for the public safety building, she never gave me an answer.
Thank you very much for your opening statement, Randy. And where do you reside at?
3412 Fenwick Avenue, Altoona.
Okay, and now to Fayan Spildy. I hope that's spelled right. Fayan Spildy is the third candidate running for the special election. And go ahead and take it away, Fayan. We really do appreciate you being here.
Oh, I'm so pleased to be here. I mean, come on. This is so exciting. I'm at a Cowrie report. Oh, I'm running for District 5 against the other two opponents there. And, I stand on doing everything like everyone else wants to do it.
Well, thank you very much for your opening statement, Fayan. And that is kind of an odd name, Fayan Spildy.
Yes, it is.
And okay, and now we're going back to Janitor Dawes for our first question. Fred Stafford will be asking the first question of the three candidates on the Altoona recall, dealing with basically some background information. The reason for this recall was the citizens of Altoona were not brought into the process. They felt like there should be a referendum when that many hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars are spent on different projects in Altoona. And so the citizens didn't like it, so they decided to have a recall and to recall two sitting members of the Altoona City Council. And so there will be another debate next Monday night right here live on Public Access with three candidates once again at 8 o'clock, and that's with a veterans group is putting that on, and the three candidates will be here again for that. Okay, Fred, you have the first question for the three candidates for the issue dealing with the issues of the recall election in Altoona.
Yes. You ran because you don't like the spending in Altoona that was the city council passed?
Okay, Janner, please answer.
Well, what was the question again?
You ran running for because of the you're running for to continue the big spending, right?
Yes. I think the city of Altoona, it needs to drive its budget up or raise its taxes up and be a good, rich city where the taxes are a good 12 mil rate and that we have good public safety and a little dinky library, even if we stretch it 3 blocks like the common man says.
All right, well, thank you, Janner. And Randy, your comment? Go
Well,
ahead, Randy.
well, in the first place, Ms. Dawes was actually appointed to the position. She was not elected to begin with. She was appointed by the mayor.
Appointed to the city council?
That's right. She
I
never.
didn't know that, Janner.
That's true. She was. She was appointed to the position.
All right. Okay, Common, you want to answer that question? Can you read the question? Can you bring up the question again to him, Fred? I guess he didn't hear it.
You're running because you object to the big spending of the city council?
Absolutely. There's just been too much big time spending lately. I mentioned I mentioned those two projects, and
Okay.
it's just ridiculous.
Thank you, Randy. And for Miss Fayen Spildy, we would like to have your answer. And Fred, you might have to read the question again to Fayen.
You're running because you want to continue the big spending?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you.
This is so cool. I'm on the call report.
Thank you, Fayen. Okay, and to the next question, I will be asking the second question. And I've got a newspaper article here. It says 5 on the ballot for 2 seats in Altoona. And once again, we'll let you know what's going on. Recall election set in Cinder City. And that's what they call Altoona because of the railroads and everything over there. And I guess they like to eat cinders in the summer, so they call it Cinder City. 3 challengers will take on 2 incumbents in the Altoona City Council members in a November 3rd recall election. So, okay, the says right in the paper here that Larry Sturtz, the former mayor of Altoona, was one of the main organizers to push through the recall election. And it's basically because of 2 city construction projects that the citizens felt should have been put on a referendum. Now, Janner, what do you think about building a new fire department? And why do you want to put it out there on way out there on Highway 12 instead of in the center of the city?
Well, I guess I go with the rest of the city council. Well, not all of the city council, but a big portion. We need a bigger fire department, this is true, and we need more fire or police department facilities. And I feel that if we put it out there on Highway 12, not only will we be completely out of the city, but we will not be able to serve anybody in the next 20 years. In fact, the only way I can figure we would be doing anybody good out there is if they put housing in that area, like on top of the golf course, which of course they're not going to do. So therefore, I'm all for it, just because then all those houses can burn down and they can build new ones.
Well, thank you, Janner. And for those of you who are calling in to bring up a question, as soon as Common Man and Fayen answer this question, the phone call will be the next question for the debate. And so we need to get the camera over here, Roy. Switch over. Where's that Roy boy at? Get the camera over
He's
here,
on the
Roy.
phone.
Don't you know who's talking? All right. Get it back over here, Roy. I'm talking here. All right, for those of you that are calling in to ask a question on the debate, 839-6261. You have to stay on the line a minute because we have to have Randy and Fayen answer this last question about why the fire department why do they want to build a fire station out on Highway 12 on the outskirts of town. Okay, Randy, take it away.
Well, I can't see the reasoning in for it anyway. It's going to go way over a couple of $1 million, for both projects anyway in the first place. And then you got the possibility of some of the construction equipment breaking down. So who knows how much more it could cost if they do go ahead with both projects, if they do complete both projects. So it's an absolutely ridiculous idea. That's why I said it in the first place. I says, this is, when I went to the forum, I looked Jan Dawes right square in the eye, and I says, I want your job, and that's it. And I do.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your answer. And now we go to Fayen Spilder for her answer to hold your water over there. Okay, okay, your answer to the question of why do you want the city of Altoona to, or maybe you're opposed to the city of Altoona building on the outskirts of town instead of having it in the center of having a fire department in the center of town. So go ahead.
To be honest with you, Chuck, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know anything about new fire department.
All right, well, thank you, Miss Spildy. I like your uniform there, too, you and Common Common is really dressed up nice tonight. And that should be worth 100 votes right there. How many, I wonder how many votes there'll be in this deal, Fred. How many people you think are going to vote over there in Altoona?
Maybe 200?
In Common's districts, all he has to do is get 200 votes and he wins. Okay, we're going to take a call here. We have a call, a phoner going to call in and ask the next round of questions. Of course, we'll be going from left to right again. So Jenner and then Randy and then Fan will be answering the questions. So go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, this is Faith Bildy, and you have a very interesting show this evening. And I do hope that the folks that are watching this realize the humor in your show this evening, and that they will tune in next week on Monday night, when I will be there to give you my statements instead of you folks making up my statements.
Okay, now would you like to ask the three contestants a question?
At this point, no, I don't think so, because this is a comedy. This is not fact. This is
a serious program, Mrs. Spildy. Why ain't you here?
I believe in facts, and hopefully that's what the viewers will see next week on Monday night, when there is a factual hearing of a show.
Well, thank you very much for your comments. We really do appreciate them, and we really appreciate people calling in and letting us know. Okay, for the next question now, I think all three contestants have answered that first two rounds. Okay, Freddie, we will be going back to you now for the next round of questions. And I think you wanted to bring up something about the library over there in Altoona versus the Eau Claire Library. So go ahead and ask the question, Fred.
What do you think about building the new library?
Go ahead, Janner. You're up.
Well, every town needs a reasonable-sized library, and so therefore I believe that the city of Altoona, like every other city, deserves to have the proper usages and needs to have a library for use for its citizens. A city wouldn't be a city without having a library, and I'm also opposed against having a library combined with the city of Eau Claire, because the city of Altoona needs its own, even though it can't compete with the city of Eau Claire. Not as if we're trying to do that or anything.
Well, thank you very much for your answer. And now we'll go to Randy, the minister, for his answer to that very crucial question. Go ahead, Randy.
Well, it's like I said at the forum, there's no way in the world that it's ever going to compete with Eau Claire's library anyway. They can expand that thing, like I said, about 3 blocks at the forum. That's what I said at the forum. And I says, you're never going to be that. It's never going to be as good as the Eau Claire's anyway. You're talking about 65,000 people against 6,500 in Altoona. So, it's the same deal. I pretty much said the same thing at the forum. Pretty much. I mean, it's just a bit, it's a waste of money. But it's a done deal. And I remember Mayor Bohonic saying, well, and Seefeld was there, and a couple of people, they said, and he says, well, the new library will be better, and he clapped, and Seefeld clapped, and nobody else did. So figure it out.
Well, thank you for your answer, Randy, and then we're going to be going on to Fayan for the final answer there. And once again, the question was, Fred?
You favor building the new library?
Well, now that I know what I'm supposed to sound like, you have to understand that I wasn't on the council for that decision, and I don't know all the facts. And so therefore, to get a proper, debate, I really don't know what I think about that. I suppose if I were on the council and I had all the information and I thought it was reasonable, yes, I would vote yes. But if the citizens themselves told me that they did not want that, then no, I would vote no. And I would go by what the citizens of the city of Altoona believe, and not what everybody else says, and not with the other council members. Granted, those council members had points, and I may go with it, but it's more to me what my district and what my citizens in the district, and not only just the district, but the entire city of Altoona believe. And if they believe that they don't want a bigger library, then they won't have it. If they think they need a bigger library, then they will have it.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Fayan. Okay, now we're going to be going to the final closing statements of the 3 candidates. And, of course, this has been Altoona the debate. And it's very crucial. These recall elections are very, very serious and important. And they're nothing to joke about. And we take it very serious. And these three candidates drove all the way down here from Altoona to the Eau Claire, the Fred the True Stafford Memorial Arena down here for this debate. And so now we would like to get a close-up of Janner for her final. Got people running all over the studio here tonight, Fred. I thought you got, when you do those tours, tell them that they have to leave. When the tour's over, they got to leave the studio.
You do the tours, I know.
Remember, those tours are every Monday with Chuck Lee. He's here every Monday for you to take a tour of the Public Access Facility in Banbury Place.
Well, thank you very much. And of course, that can't even remember the guy's name now. All right, Janner, your closing statements for tonight's debate.
I've been on the council for a while. Apparently I was put on there because the mayor wanted me to be. And I like being on the council, and I like the people. And I feel like I'm listening to people, and I think I'm doing the right thing for the city of Altoona, because I've been a long-time resident. And I hope to continue to be on the City Council of Altoona. And reminder, why are we doing this recall anyways? Because we didn't vote the way you wanted us to? Come on. We're the representatives, not you.
Thank you very much for your closing statement. That was very incisive, thoughtful, and delectable. And now, Randy, your closing statements.
Okay. Okay, well, I haven't got too much more to add, except for it was amazing that, we did have a call from Faith Spaldea, but she decided not to show up in person. And obviously Jan Todd did not show up at all and didn't call at all either. But the main thing of it is that, like I said before, there's been too much spending in Altoona, and I'm fed up with it. And I want that job, and I want that job bad.
All right, thank you for your closing statements. Randy Bemister, better known as the Common Man, and that was very insightful and very heartfelt and sincere. And now to Fan Splody, go ahead.
Remember, before we go to her, if you give a damn, vote for the Common Man.
Now,
Thank you.
I will vote for what the citizens of the city of Altoona believe in, not necessarily what I believe in.
Can we get to the debaters?
But what the citizens of Altoona believe. Because, in my opinion, it's what they care about. Not what other cities are doing, not whether or not, Eau Claire bought a new dump truck or not. It's about what the city of Altoona needs. And what about the citizens in the city of Altoona? Because the city of Eau Claire build something. Should the city of Altoona do it? No, not necessarily. We're completely different. And I'm against us following the city. I'm against that. And I'm also, more or less, there's this whole motivation of being independent. Not completely, but a little bit. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much, debaters. And that has been Altoona Debate. And I'll tell you, these productions are take many, many hours to put on, and we want to thank all of the staff down here at the Fred the True Stafford Memorial Arena for their hard work here in the Arena Studios, and we really do appreciate that hard work. And I think before we go, we have one more call that people would possibly, this person I don't know who's on the line, but they might want to ask the contestants one quick question while we have them on the air. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Hi, I have some friends and I are interested in buying a beef cattle, for butchering. And we're curious to know what would be a good weight to look for it in butchering a cow. For a good tender, a good cut.
Well, actually, you want to get those little baby ones like we have here on the set. These, of course, we barbecue those, and then we use you can see them here on the set. These are all baby cows that have been stuffed. The meat was ground up
Like
into.
the hamburgers, those big, that big.
Well, Fred has figured out a way how to incorporate that into his carp sausage, and
I don't make
It's
carp sausage.
it's a new
You make the carp sausage.
it's a new concoction where he's incorporated beef and carp together, and I'll tell
I
you,
don't
it's
do
just
that at all.
it's
You
just
do it.
it's just simply delicious.
You,
And of course, the most tender cattle, of course, are your the little baby ones, and they call that veal.
yeah.
And of course, they're milk fed, and they get back rubs and everything. And then when they're about the size of the ones here on the table, they take them out and shoot them in the head, and then they gut them out and take the meat out of it and stuff them for the show. And that's the name of that tune.
No,
Did you have a question for the debaters tonight before they leave here?
no, I was just kind of interested more in butchering cattle.
Well, you want to get the tender ones, the ones that weigh about 100 pounds.
100 pounds.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Okay, so, we appreciate the debaters for coming all the way down here from Altoona to the Fred the True Stafford Memorial Arena and Studios. We really do appreciate that. And now, we're going to be moving on. We have Norbert, Mr. NASA Wilson, the more affectionately called Norb. He'll be getting set up for his report from space tonight with the big John Glenn space shot coming up here in the near future. We'll be setting up Norb in his usual studio place for his camera. But in the meantime, we're going to take another call here real quick, and then Fred has some very important information he wants to talk about. But first, we'll take another call here since we're down to about the last 10 minutes of the show. Okay, go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Hi, I have a question for the common man.
All right.
This is Liz Lorge from Ward 4.
Okay.
And as it happens, I and Faith Beldy and also Jan Doss were down at the Altoona City Council headquarters tonight. We were down in City Hall. And Jan, as it happens, was on a couple of committees that were meeting, one at 6 and one at 7. And Faye and I were there, and we were observing and watching and learning a bit more about our city government. And so I guess my question to the common man is, why weren't you there?
Well, that's a very good question. And, you know,
Well, in the first place,
those things need to be asked, and we have an open program here, so there's a common. He's on the griddle, so let's see him fry. Go ahead, Common.
Plain and simple. I didn't know there was such a committee meeting at all. I mean, I can't keep track of everything. I don't take the newspaper on a regular basis, so if there's anything that's scheduled, I wouldn't have any way of knowing.
Well, that's okay, Randy. But if you're elected to the council, you're going to have to show up for the council meetings and probably for a lot of the committee meetings too.
I got no problem with that, as long as
Good man. Bye.
Well, thank you very much for calling in. You know, Randy, it's tough to be in two places at once. You had to be down here for this very crucial debate, and there's another one coming up next Monday night. And Mr. McGonigal, who's the other who's putting on that debate next Monday?
Why, I believe it's the Allied Veterans Council that's putting on the district debate for the recall election of Districts 4 and 5 of the city of Altoona. It'll be live here on Public Access Community Television at 8 p.m. next Monday night, and that will allow caller input. They'll be taking calls and then taking stuff, and then they'll be asking the questions live on the channel. So it'll also be here so people can come up from the city of Altoona and sit in the audience and ask questions right here. It'll be right here in the Public Access Studio in Banbury. Now back to you, Chuck.
Well, thank you, Mr. McGonigal. And that's our announcer, Mr. McGonigal, and he does a great job. Okay, we're going to be setting up Norb. Mr. NASA Wilson will be getting set up for his report from outer space. And in the meantime here, quickly, I'm going to read you a quick article here. 5 people were riding in a car in Elmsdale, Canada, when it ran out of gas, and they attempted to refill the tank from a fuel can. When they had trouble getting the hose into the car's fuel tank, one of them used a cigarette lighter to get a better look. The resulting explosion set 2 people's arms on fire. In an effort to avoid further danger, another of the passengers hurled the fuel can away, igniting a bunch of crates stacked next to a nearby potato packing factory, which burnt to the ground. So there you have it, and that's from Elmsdale, Canada. So be careful when you're lighting those matches to see how you're filling up your gas tank with gas. You know, I have a personal experience on that real quickly. It'll take about 30 seconds here. When I was younger, my car battery's in the wintertime, and my car battery, the car wouldn't start. So I lifted up the hood, and it was dark outside. I didn't have a flashlight, so I opened up the battery, and I looked down in the battery there, and I lit a cigarette lighter to get a better look down in the battery, and that sucker, the whole top of that plastic battery blew off in my face. I had splinters of plastic in my face for years. Still have some of them coming out, working their way out of the skin. And the doctor, when I went to the doctor, I couldn't see. Both my eyes turned just white, just like egg yolks. I thought I was going to be blind, but those cleared up, and that was a miracle itself. But it was a miracle I didn't get my head blown off. The doctor says, you know, those batteries are like a miniature nuclear bomb, especially when you light a match near them. Those fumes just explode, and that plastic and lead battery just blew up everywhere. But I was spared by the good Lord that day, and to be here 20 years later. And so remember, don't be lighting matches around gas cans, gas tanks when you're filling up your your car at the gas station, and don't be lighting matches around batteries, especially when you have the cap off of them. Okay, now we'll be going to Norb, Mr. Nassau Wilson, for his most recent report on the situations out there in outer space. Norb, what's going on out there? What's the latest word from the John Glenn shot where he's going up in space?
Well, a little earlier this evening...
You got a mic on, Norb, there? Okay.
Are we okay for the audio here? Yep. A little earlier this evening, I was reviewing some channels, and I ran across the channel Discovery that this Friday at 9 o'clock you'll be able to see on channel Discovery 27 the John Glenn review of the space flight and the training he had to go through.
Okay, I understand now that we're running out of time, Norm, so I got to get to the next question. I understand when they shoot Glenn up into space and they land on the moon, they're going to take those lettuce seeds and they're going to go out and find that patch of ice, take a blowtorch and melt off that ice, turn it into water, plant the lettuce, and then see how it grows on the moon. Is that true or false?
Well, that's a little far-fetched right now, but you got plenty of imagination, Chuck.
Well, what are they going to exactly do when they land on the moon here on this next shot?
Well, I don't think it'll be this next shot. The shuttle is going to be up by itself, independent of any other explorations that you might have mentioned.
Well, what's John Glenn going to the moon for then?
Well, John Glenn is not going to the moon. Chuck.
Where's he going?
Well, he's going in the space shuttle, and they're going to be free flight in the space shuttle and do their experiments on the space shuttle only.
And that's where the lettuce comes in, I think. That's where the lettuce experiments are?
Yes, that'll be the...
and the final question is, Norb, have they discovered any life on any of the other planets yet?
Well, they haven't given up hope. And that's what it's all about, is hang in there with the hope and have something to look forward to.
Go ahead, caller.
Tomorrow's another day.
You got 12 seconds, caller.
Yeah. How about that soccer track that Randy you want to build in Altoona here?
Soccer track?
Yeah, that stock car track. Racing.
Stock car. Well, when I talked to Randy last time, he was looking for some land in downtown Altoona to bulldoze off and build at. But I'll tell you, it's hard to buy cheap land in downtown Altoona. It's getting tough down there. Would you like to comment? Randy's still in the studio. If you'd like to comment on the racetrack, Randy. You got 10 seconds. Here you go. Use this mic here, Randy.
Okay.
Racetrack Randy.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I've been thinking of right now, I don't know, Altoona had its possibilities at one time, a long time ago. maybe if I'd had the old thinking cap on, maybe it could have went on some of the Mena property, I don't know.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, Randy, for that incisive question, and we really do appreciate your in-depth analysis of the racetrack situation. I've been your host, Chuck Lee, my rusty, trusty sidekick, Fred the True Stafford. My guests tonight have been Randy Bemister and Norb, Mr. Nassau Wilson, with the latest Outer Space Report. Thank you for all tuning in. Roy Rogers Hoff is my electronical pyrotechnical engineer. And Mr. McGonigal has been the announcer tonight. We all appreciate you tuning in. And don't forget to watch next time on the Old Cow Report. Fred, you got anything to say?
Vote for Mark Newman.
Adios, amigos and amigas.